This 2023 Martinsville NASCAR Weekend Recap edition of the NASCAR Gambling Podcast here on the Sports Gambling Podcast Network is brought to you by Underdog Fantasy. Underdog has just added Pick'em Scorchers, where you can win 100x. Plus, every Sunday, they're giving away $100,000. Use promo code SGPN at Underdog Fantasy for a 100% deposit bonus up to $500. We're brought to you by Hall of Fame Bets, the sports betting research platform for parlays, player props, and game lines. Download the Hall of Fame Bets app or visit hofbets.com and use code SGPN to get 50% off of your first month and start making smarter bets today. Plus, the MMA Gambling Podcast just launched their YouTube channel. To celebrate, we're giving away an MMA gambling podcast hoodie. Head over to sportsgamblingpodcast.com/MMA hoodie for all the details.
Driver, start your engine!
Strap in and pull those belts up tight as the Sports Gambling Podcast Network presents the NASCAR Gambling Podcast.
I'll wreck my mom to win a championship. I'll wreck your mom to win a championship.
With all the news and the best bets for your NASCAR weekend.
It refrains me from not beating the out of you right now because you asked me stupid questions. But since I'm on probation, I suppose that's improper to say as well. If you could talk about racing things, we could talk about racing things.
Now, here are your hosts, Rod Villagomez and Cody Zeeb.
Oh, yes, indeed. We are here to talk racing things. It is the NASCAR Gambling Podcast here on the Sports Gambling Podcast Network. He's Cody Zeeb. I'm Rod Villagomez. Right off the bat, we are here with John Little, giving us our first names of actually probably just the show. Rodster and Zeebinator. I love it, John. You said you were going to bring it, and you definitely
said he was going to keep giving us names. Love it.
He says, if you could talk about racing things, we can talk about racing things. Guess what? We are talking about racing things. We're here to break down Martinsville, the penultimate race of the NASCAR season. That was exciting. There was some exciting moments for both of these series, for both Xfinity and Cup. But I'm telling you right now, man, I just to be on the edge of a lot of these bets kind of made my whole day a lot more stressful than it needed to be.
Yeah, if that Xfinity race would have ended before they left Martinsville and went to Daytona, probably would have had ourselves a pretty good day. Unfortunately, the end of it being at Daytona, boy. I'd wreck my mother to win the championship. I'd wreck your mother to win the championship. I'd wreck my teammate for neither of us to win it.
There was a lot of just out and out craziness, especially obviously on that last lap. We will definitely get there when we start talking about the bets and the picks and all that. But here's the thing, like, we expected this to be somewhat chippy. I don't know that I really expected the end of that race to turn out to be a full on destruction derby type of a thing. It's insane to think of how that race just degenerated into what it became at the end.
Yeah, it was insane. Nick Fortune, boogity boogity, let's go racing.
What's up, Nick?
Hi, Tiger says, hey guys, thanks for joining us again. If you listen to this afterwards, make sure you click the subscribe button over on YouTube so you know when we're going live. You can interact with us. But yeah, that Xfinity race, Rod. Wow, we got everything, and that's again, like, going into these championship races and these cutoff races, and we play the clip at the beginning of every show, right? I'll wreck my mom to win a championship. I'll wreck your mom to win a championship. It's all out there on the line. You got to go for it. These guys fucking went for it. I love it. I'm here for it. It was exciting. And yeah, we were on the bad side of some bets in that. Obviously, we'll recap that as we get into the bets, and lost a few because of what happened in that overtime there. But man, it was exciting racing, and they put on a hell of a show for us.
And for what it's worth, that's what we wanted. That's all we needed out of this race. Was we needed it to be exciting. We needed it to have a lot of potential to make Phoenix even that much better in the long run. So our championship 4 are set for both series now, and then they will join the trucks too, or the trucks will join them, I suppose, in Phoenix. As we definitely, I kind of feel cheated. I felt like we should have had a truck race in this weekend too, because with all of the craziness that we had, I feel like the truck should have had some fun with it too.
And yeah, why? I don't know. Why didn't we? Why put the trucks on a short track Friday night to send them to the championship race? Like, as exciting as that Xfinity race was, and even the Cup race was less exciting compared to Xfinity, but there was plenty of storylines, and it came down to the very end, right? Imagine the trucks out there. Would we have been able to complete 2 green flag laps, which Xfinity could hardly do? Maybe not, but it was like I did some iRacing on Martinsville this week, and it was like, you get 2 laps in, and that's 6 laps of caution, and then 2 laps in, and then half the field's wrecking again. And it was very reminiscent of that. As I was watching the Xfinity race, I'm like, hey, us iRacers is just, fucking around, or just as good as those guys.
It's funny because I love how you said that my favorite color is getting a workout in that race, and boy, did it ever. That yellow flag was the sponsor of Martinsville, if you ask me.
Yeah, it's oh man, we did see a lot of yellow, but again, came down to it. Our final 4 are set for all 3 series now. One more weekend of racing, Rod. Unfortunately, 3 races, 3 more chances to win some big money, and we're gonna crown some champions this week.
We are going to crown some champions this week. Well, let's start breaking down our bets and start talking about the races that were this weekend, because listen, that's what we're here to do. We know that you guys had some great bets out there in the Discord as well. So we're going to definitely get to that. But first, let's tell you about Underdog Fantasy. Underdog Fantasy has a way to play alongside your favorite team all season long. And of course, as we know, drive along with your favorite drivers. Which, by the way, Kyle Larson screwed me, so I'm a little bit ticked off at Kyle Larson, but that's neither here nor there. You can have better luck on Underdog Fantasy. Plus, Underdog just introduced Scorchers. Go 5 for 5 and pick 'em Scorchers. You're going to enjoy a spicy 100x payout. And for a limited time, Underdog is extending the first deposit bonus up to $500. $100,000 Sundays continue on Underdog Fantasy. 10 lucky players are going to win $10,000 each. So watch along, make your picks, maybe make a little cash over on Underdog's mobile app or website, underdogfantasy.com. When you sign up with the promo code SGPN, Underdog's going to double your first deposit up to $500. That's Underdog Fantasy promo code SGPN. The MMA Gambling Podcast just launched their YouTube channel, and in honor, we're giving away an MMA Gambling Podcast hoodie to one lucky winner. Head over to sportsgamblingpodcast.com/MMA hoodie to submit your entry today. Make sure to subscribe to the MMA Gambling Podcast on YouTube. Oh, Cody left the building. Did I say his name?
Yeah, you didn't say his. We didn't talk about him yet, but
oh my God,
I was having technical difficulties. Hopefully it's fixed now. So,
oh my God, I was like, I haven't even said his name yet. What are we doing? Good Lord. We'll get there though. But all right, so let's talk about that Xfinity race. Of course, it was the Dead on Tools 250. I think we got more than 250 in this one. I'm gonna say.
Yeah, we did. It was only 1 overtime though, which was actually kind of surprising, but they made up for it on that last lap there. Apparently, they were still cleaning the racetrack up the morning of the Cup race from the utter chaos that ensued on the last lap there, it was a Daytona. We had 2 of them in that race, because there was one, I don't remember if it was one that led into the overtime or one a little bit earlier than that, but
it was lap 187 where it was the 51, the 26, the 24, the 27, the 00, and the 41. And then of course the later one where obviously the ultimate ending was the one where everybody else was pretty much parked on the track. So
exactly.
But
8x
on Underdog yesterday with a boost.
Yes. Let's go. That's awesome.
So but I'm telling you right now that yellow, the flag guy got a lot of work out yesterday.
Yeah. I think Jordan Bianchi tweeted about the light bulbs and the yellow lights are going to need to be changed after that race, which very, very accurate. But Justin Allgaier, right place at the right time, sneaks by, he wins, that locks him in. Sam Mayer was already locked in. Good thing, because he had a rough day at Martinsville. John Hunter Nemechek locked himself in, I believe, after the second stage. Cole Custer squeezes in the final spot.
Backed his way in.
Literally
Legitimately
backed his way in. His car was on fire and he backed up to cross the line. Make sure he got across it. Very smart, very, good for him to be aware of that. Got in. Those are the 4 guys that are going to battle it out for the championship. Starting out, had a couple of top 5 bets. Lane Riggs, top 5. He was 5-1. He had his flashes throughout this race. He was kind of hanging in there for a little while, but ended up turning into a little bit of a pinball. He got turned multiple times, and then unfortunately things didn't quite end as well for him. Ends up in 11th with all the chaos at the end. So I don't know. I mean, young guy, kind of making one of his first starts in Xfinity Series still, kind of just became a wrecking ball. And guys were just moving guys out of the way, which is kind of what we saw all night. That's how it's going to go with the betting. We almost backdoored this one in the last lap chaos. Number 10, stupid number 10, as my bet says here. And I should have stuck to my guns and avoided him. I will no longer be placing bets on him. Finished in 6th place yet again, the number 10 car. So screw that guy.
Yeah.
As Ty Tiger says, screw that guy.
I love it. All right. Well, my top 5 bet actually did hit, and that was Riley Herbst at 2-1. I got that on Bet365. He did finish in 4th place. Started 4th, finished 4th. And for Riley Herbst, man, it was a very eventful run for him. He seemed to be, he was obviously around the front. He was in the front and just kind of hanging around the top 5 all day long. And then at one point he got shuffled out and finished 10th actually in stage 2. So, and then there was a couple times where he was just outside of the top 5. And I thought for sure, I was like, oh man, this is not going to happen. We're not going to get a Riley Herbst top 5. And then he managed to get himself up inside the top 5 by the end of it. So very happy for him. And honestly, he was one of the better looking cars all day long. He wasn't going to win, but he definitely did belong in the top 5 all day long like he was running.
Yeah, I think he only got back in the top 5 because of the chaos at the end, but he would deserve to be in the top 5. Wasn't a guy that snuck in there just because of the chaos. He was, started 4th on the day and was running solid all day. So this was a great call by you. Herbst's a guy we talked about him a lot this season already, but going into next season, we're going to be talking about him a lot more. Top Chevrolet rod, I had Brandon Jones plus 750. This one never really had a chance all day. I don't know. Brandon just wasn't quite what he'd been in the past here at this track and didn't really see it from him. Couple of little flashes here and there. I think he got spun around at one point, but I don't feel like this bet ever had a chance. But Austin Hill, Top Chevrolet, plus 950. If this race would have ended in regulation, we'd have been cashing this bet. It would have been very nice. It did not end in regulation. Obviously, the deal with Sheldon Creed there, and that's how it's going to go. So, it was the right bet to make, though. And I think, again, going forward, we talked about how much Austin Hill was undervalued this weekend, how it was ridiculous. I'll just we had him 25-1 to win as well, and could have doubled up and hit both of these bets there near the end. And so if Austin Hill gets disrespected in the books, I think you've got to pounce. You've got to take it. That's got to be a rule going forward, no matter where it is, because the dude shows that he can put himself in good positions and really had a chance to win this race. Had a chance to cash this Top Chevrolet bet for us, but just missed out in that last lap chaos.
And listen, for Justin Allgaier, though, you got to hand it to him. He put together a hell of a race to even get back to where he was, to get into position to win the race. So, when you talk about, and we talked about JRM, listen, probably more than anybody, probably more than Dale Jr. talks about his own team on this show. So the fact of the matter is we know that they're good cars, and we know that every week they're going to show up and be one of the better teams in the garage. So just the fact that he was able to muscle his way up there, kudos to him. And we weren't even on him. That's the thing about it. This is the one week where I've just laid off of Justin Allgaier completely because I figured I was probably on him too much. And so sure enough, maybe I should lay off him more often.
He'd been here. He'd been bad here too. So
yeah. So,
but hey, got it done.
Speaking of which, Chandler Smith, God, top 5, had him at 4-1. Chandler Smith probably should have been a top 5 car by the end of this day. I don't know that he'd avoid the chaos, but man, when that car carted off of there. That was just devastating. I mean, what was it? It ended up being, I can't remember what the mechanical issue was in that car ultimately, but he got caught up in a little scuffle earlier on, and it just sort of cost him, right? And it was a terrible thing.
Wrong place, wrong times, and that's how it goes. And those College cars, boy, they've just had some troubles this year with wrong place, wrong time types of stuff. So,
but I'm telling you, at 4-1 for him, he was in the top 5 at a couple of points in that beginning part of the race. So,
and right now, like you look at these top 5 bets, and sure, we only hit the Herps at 2-1, and so really you didn't come out ahead. But again, 4-1 on number 10, he was 1 spot out of there. 4-1 on Chandler, he was a top 5 potential car all day. You end up with the chaos at the end, which could have put anybody in the top 5. Now we ended up with a fairly normal, quote unquote, top 5 of kind of bigger hitters and bigger drivers. But again, I think the top 5 market going to continue to be a way that you find value going forward. I had Cole Custer over Justin Allgaier -110. I don't know. This one probably should have cashed. I mean, Custer was kind of, Allgaier was good all day too, though. Like, both these guys were good. So I don't know. Man, the track history really just screamed to take this bet. But obviously misses out in the end. But with all that chaos at the end, this one really could have gone either way, because Custer was, I think he ended up in, he was
Custer all the way down to 19th.
Yeah. And that was just because of that last lap. I mean, he going into that last lap was 6th or 7th. So he wasn't too far behind. Allgaier was 3rd. Could have gone either way. This was really a toss-up all day, so just ended up being on the wrong side of it.
And again, to be honest with you, Cole Custer, the fact that he even backed his car into, I was on fire. It was literally going backwards to cross the finish line. Like, I mean, he almost Ricky Bobbied it and got out and just ran to the finish line.
Carl Edwards and trying to run across and make sure that counts.
Little diving and slapping his hand on the cross. Yeah, no, that didn't work there. But yeah, again, it just, like I said, for Justin Allgaier, we both didn't think he was going to do well, and that's the week he did well. All right, I had stupid 10 over Sheldon Creed. That one didn't cash. I mean, look, for Sheldon Creed, that one could have taken him out for sure, right? I mean, that was just a matter of, even if stupid 10 didn't get, he finished 6th though. It wasn't, I mean,
and look at Austin. I mean, Austin Hill ends up 21st. So the way that last lap went, that could have been Creed too. So
should have been, to be honest with you.
Yeah.
I look at the aw shuck stuff is fine and all, and I know, and I love Sheldon Creed. You know that, right? He's my favorite Canadian that's not a Canadian from California. But at that point, I feel like that was a little bit of dirty pool. I don't know.
I want to get into this. I think this is a good time. I also faded Sheldon Creed. I had Lane Riggs over him. We talked about him. Wasn't very good. But so on the Sheldon Creed note, because I think it has to be discussed, right? And we haven't really talked about this. So I don't know your full feelings, but in my opinion, you have to do, like the opening of the show says, you're going for a championship. You have to do everything you can to win the championship. And I think that's what Sheldon Creed did. And I don't think he could have probably just wrecked Austin Hill. He could have done what Ty Gibbs did last year, wrecked him, maybe went on to win. But I felt like he gave Austin Hill a fair chance at it. He obviously overcooked it going into, was it 3 or I don't remember if it was.
Oh, it had to been 3.
Yeah. He overcooked it, right? That's where he slid up in front of Hill and caused the big wreck and everything. But I don't think it's, some people, and I think Austin Hill said it, like he slid up in front of him and then parked it. Like, I don't think that was the case. I think he was wheel hopping and he, was trying to get it back under control, and Hill hit him and it destroyed his car. But for Sheldon Creed, it's not like he was eliminated from the playoffs. It's not like he had to win to get it. And he was, yet again, Rod, again, he's the Casey Kane of, just continues to finish in second place. Like, he was this close to winning his first Xfinity Series race and getting in the championship. Oh man, I don't blame him. In that position, it doesn't matter if he's your teammate. It doesn't matter if he's your mother. You're going to win you're trying to get into the championship 4 with an equal shot as the other 3 guys to win it. You have to go for it. I think I don't know. I think that he didn't do anything wrong.
JDK says Creed was about to win and didn't know what to do, so he hit the brakes. Yeah, sometimes when you're in a new position, you kind of freak out a little bit.
Yeah,
Okay.
yeah. What's going on?
I will say this, because I mean, obviously, I have 0 point of reference. The only thing I know is that when I'm sitting at a red light and I know that the dude next to me has pissed me off, I don't want him to beat me off the line. So if there's any sort of emotion that kind of revs into that, like I understand, because I can't turn my car into that truck. Like I can't do it.
Well, you
but
could,
you're right, I could. But and I understand the emotion. Like I understand, because when you're behind a motor vehicle, right? If you're behind the wheel of a vehicle, I mean, there's a lot of just pent up emotion in that. It doesn't matter if I'm driving on the freeway or if I'm driving at Martinsville, right? I mean, there's always this level of anxiety that you've got, and for whatever reason, this spirit of competition. Like, you don't want grandma to beat you, right? Right. Grandma starts to go in the fast lane and your initial instinct is to hit the gas pedal because you're like, no way this Oldsmobile is going to whoop me in the fast lane. So I get it from Creed's standpoint. I can't say that I have ever been there before. So I can't say that I understand the emotion behind it, but you're right, Cody. He was in the position to win his first race ever. Like you gotta think that your emotions are amped up by 100,000, right? And you can't, like Creed, like JDK said. I mean, it's not like he hit the brakes, but he certainly drove faster than he thought he was going to be driving at that point. Right. So, what do you got to do?
Well, and I mean, we have time to sit here and analyze it, and this is all happening at top speed on Martinsville. You don't have time to think, and you're just reacting, and you got to go for it. And this is how it's going. And I think he raced him fair enough. He gave them both a chance. Obviously, it went from where they maybe could have both gotten in, but depending on how you look at it, right, Hill maybe could have finished second and still got in, depending on where Custer ends up on that last lap. It kind of varies depending on how you look at it and where guys were, or where maybe would have finished if it would have ended normally with those, Creed getting around him. I don't know. I think that the way that RCR has handled it has been absolutely ridiculous. I think that they seem to be very poor losers. They don't like when people leave on their own terms. I know when Kevin Harvick left a long time ago, it was rough then. Tyler Reddick, I mean, Denny Hamlin, I haven't listened to his entire podcast, but I was listening to some of it earlier, and he said they had they were going to put Tyler, because remember, Tyler Reddick was supposed to be with the RCR this season. They were going to put him in a not competitive car and make him go out there every week and drive around in a non-chartered car at the back just to punish him because they didn't like the fact that he was leaving. And then obviously, Denny and 2311 and ponied up and bought out his contract and everything. But oh boy, they can be pretty petty. And I get it, Austin Hill's the long-term guy, right? And you just re-signed him, and Creed's leaving and going to JGR, obviously, as we found out. But I don't understand how you can be mad at him in that, and the way that Andy Petrie handled it. And then for Richard Childress to say he's the dumbest driver that's ever driven for him when Joe Graff has driven for him. And who is that chicken guy? John, I have to look up his name. I know Jordan Bianchi had mentioned it, but he had a lot of problems on the track and off the track. Yeah, not a good guy at all. Sheldon Creed's not the stupidest guy that's ever raced for you.
No, not even close. But we'll definitely get to that on the other side of this. I want to tell you first about Hall of Fame Bets. Win bigger by betting smarter this NFL season with Hall of Fame Bets, a sports betting analytics platform for player props and game lines. Research every NFL, NBA, MLB, and soccer bet with historical stats and data. You can enter any parlay idea into Hall of Fame Bets' revolutionary parlay optimizer tool. You're going to get hit rates broken down by leg, as well as expected probability for the entire parlay. Sort all players by hit rates for any bet to learn which players are hot and which picks have value. Stop betting in the dark. Join over 30,000 users researching with Hall of Fame Bets to craft more intelligent, data-driven parlays. Download the Hall of Fame Bets app or visit HOFBets.com. Use code SGPN to get 50% off of your first month today. Start researching, start winning with Hall of Fame Bets. All right, so yeah, I mean, we'll obviously Sheldon Creed's going to have the last laugh because he gets to go to JGR and we get to see him try to exact some revenge over there. So yeah, speaking of that, JGR drives Toyota. I picked Toyota over Ford, and guess what? Toyota beat Ford by one position.
Hey, it's all that counts as long as you beat him out. This was looking for a while like it was going to be fairly easy because you had John Hunter up there. I think even Snyder was up there. Sammy Smith was up there. And then Custer and Herbst were kind of hanging back a little, but there was multiple Toyotas in front. But yeah, you lucked out at the end, and luckily Toyota stayed ahead of Ford.
I'm telling you right now, for the fact that Cole Custer was right there ahead, I thought, man, this is not going to do well for us. Like my saving grace would have been if Sammy Smith had jumped up, and I thought for sure we were cooked when Cole Custer got to the front. But thank you, Sheldon Creed, for allowing all of that nonsense to happen. And really just, thanks to Sammy Smith for getting it done in the first place. Cause I was very excited to see Toyota finish better than Ford because there's not that many Fords and none of them were all that great. So thank you, Sammy Smith.
Yeah. Great call by you. Again, you want to pay the juice if you lose. Didn't pay the juice here. I had Brandon Jones top 3 plus 425. Again, didn't show up. Based on his track history, you probably place this bet again because he's been so damn good here. But yeah, just wasn't a Brandon Jones type of day. He really just didn't compete for this, which made me sad.
Yeah, and that was it too. There was nothing about his day that was even remotely good. Like, I mean, he hung around in the middle, and then eventually I think he did end up getting caught up. I mean, he finished 16th, but he started 6th and then kind of dropped like a rock at that point. It wasn't a very good day for him all. So the one junior motorsports car that was basically not really all that great all day. So, all right. I had the winning car number over 8.5. Nope, that didn't happen. 7 was your car winner, obviously. When the roulette wheel died, that was it. And listen, honestly, what's crazy is that the top 2, obviously 7 and 2, but then there was Sammy Smith and Riley Herbst after that. Then there was stupid number 10. Parker Retzlaff was 7th. Anthony Alfredo, Jeb Burton, Parker Kligerman, like everybody else behind him, other than Josh Berry, would have cashed this bet. So, damn it.
Yeah, man, it looked late in this race like you would probably be cashing this. Obviously, Austin Hill was up there. John Hunter was up there for a long time. Speaking of which, I had John Hunter to win. Plus 250. Definitely wasn't the dominant car that I had hoped he would be. Still put himself in position at the end. It was older tires, right? But he got out front, and he was doing a good job of holding them off. I don't remember exactly what happened to him. I think he might have been part of the incident that facilitated the overtime finish, but yeah, he ended up getting dumped as one of those lead cars. Didn't get the win, unfortunately. Brandon Jones, 18-1. We talked about him. He sucked. Austin Hill, 25-1. This was the bet. Oh, man. Austin Hill just looked so good at the end of that race. Again, leading at the end of regulation, leading going into overtime. I think he was leading at the white flag. Not leading as they took the checkered flag. Did not cash the 25-1. But like I said earlier, if they undervalue Austin Hill, it's an auto bet every single time because this dude just shows up.
You know who else showed up for 147 laps?
Oh, man.
Sam freaking Smith. I had the 17-1 boost on Caesars on Sammy Smith. And for 3/4 of the day, I looked like an absolute
fucking genius. Yep.
And then they were like, "Oh, that was Rod's pick. Never mind. Let's pull the ripcord on him."
Yeah, the pit strategy kind of got him because it set him back a little ways there. But then he ends up in third. Justin Allgaier bounces off the wall on the last lap. Like, underrated part of him winning that, he got put into the wall by Custer, I believe, bounced off of the wall, came back down. Then he passes the RCR teammates as they wreck each other. Creed obviously finishes second, but he was involved in all that wrecking. Sammy Smith could have had this. You had him 17-1, would have been beautiful to hit. I had him at 50-1 to win the championship. He was the best car all day. He was, can you imagine holding this 50-1 ticket going into next weekend? Would have been beautiful. Unfortunately, not to be. That's how it goes.
Yeah, unfortunately, that's how it goes. I was livid. So yeah, definitely not. And so, spoiler alert, well, not spoiler alert, but just a little behind baseball. I was gone all day long. My daughter had a band review about an hour away, so we were away from like 7 a.m. I didn't get back home until 10. So I ended up watching this race at 10 o'clock before, as I was waiting to pick up my daughter. She was getting back a little bit later, like midnight or so. So I had those 2 hours to watch that race. And I'm telling you right now, one, I'm glad that I could fast forward through the cautions because that, is my least favorite thing in the world.
The red flag.
And the red flag, I was so glad I could sit there and just fast forward through all of that because I was not in the mood to pay attention to all that stuff, especially when I was mad, especially at the end with Sammy Smith not winning. I was like, God. So yeah, not fun.
Yeah. But man, yeah, they put on a show again. Our bets didn't quite pan out with the chaos at the end, but what a great race. What a great show they put on. It was entertaining. It was exciting. It went down to the last inch, literally, to decide who was going to go to Phoenix to fight for the championship. So props to those guys. They did a hell of a job, put on a show for us. And yeah, now we got 4 guys left. Fight for the championship next week or this week.
Indeed. All right, let's move over to the Xfinity 500. It was the Cup race. My youngest is stoked. Ryan Blaney wins this race. She keeps asking me to say, Dad, who won the Cup race this weekend? And I'm like, oh, babe, that was Ryan Blaney. She's like, I know. So my daughter's super excited that Ryan Blaney wins. I had to call her down. I was like, come here, look. And all of a sudden, there's Ryan Blaney pulling into victory lane. She's like, yes. I'm pretty excited for her. So now she's hopefully going to be cheering for a NASCAR champion at some point, I think.
Yeah, he's definitely got a good chance. He's been one of the best cars at Phoenix every time. In the championship race last year, was the best car. Decided to play the good teammate fiddle and hold off Ross Chastain so Joey Logano could win the championship. Maybe that favors return to him this weekend. But Ryan Blaney gets it done. So a couple weeks ago, goes from being disqualified after the race. Now he's 1 million points behind. He's going to have to win. The pressure's on. All the points get restored. He comes in, plus to the, 10 points to the good. Comes out. I think, what did he win? Stage 1. And he was, he got a lot of stage points. Put himself in a good position. Didn't even have to win the race. Wins anyway. Was the best car on the day. Props to him. He joins Christopher Bell and Kyle Larson in the championship 4. And William Byron, by the skin of his teeth, holds on a horrible day for that number 24 team and did everything they could to just hold on at the very end there. And man, that's yeah, oh boy, lucky to get in. But once you're in, you got a chance.
Do you have our brackets by chance?
I do. I have got them right here.
Because I want a bracket update now. After this,
let's see. You want the bracket update right now?
Yeah. After this race is what I meant to.
Rod had Martin Truex Jr. Negative. Dennis Hamlin. Nope. Negative. Chris Buescher. Negative. And Kyle Larson, who did make it. So you got one of the 4. I had Martin Truex Jr. Negative. Oh God. Yeah, we don't need to read mine. Hamlin, no. Reddick, no. And Brad Keselowski, no. So 0 for 4 on me. I tried to go a little different and did not work out.
So my bracket is not completely busted. All my hopes now lie on the shoulders.
Although you had Truex winning, so yeah.
I did.
Really,
yeah,
your bracket is kind of busted. But
yeah, that's true. My bracket is.
You at least picked one guy that made it.
Oh my God!
I'm so excited. I have no idea as of right now who I'm going to pick to win this. I've got some serious studying to do. I'm going to look back and comb through the stuff. I know it's not often that a first timer into the Final 4 wins. I believe Blaney and Byron are both in for the first time. I got to double check on that. I know Bell was in last year. Larson's obviously won before. Blaney's been the best car here in the past. And recently he's been good here. He's on a fucking hot streak right now. I mean, he's tearing it up lately. So that goes in his favor. Bell's got that fast pit crew. How many times have we seen this race come down to the fastest pit stop at the end? William Byron's won the most races this season. Kyle Larson is Kyle Larson, but even though the year he won the championship at this race, he didn't have the best car. The way the cautions fell, it kind of worked out in his favor. This is going to be a fun one to break down, to see the odds. Still waiting for the odds to drop. Haven't seen anything yet. I'll be interested to see how they price odds for the race, how they price odds for the championship, if they offer both. I would assume they will. But yeah, it's going to be fun to break down this race tomorrow. I'm super pumped to dig into the research tonight and start figuring out what we're going to do.
Well, we'll definitely have to do that when we cross that bridge, but let's look back at Martinsville and break down all of the bets that we had. A couple better ones here, but not necessarily as many as we were hoping for. And in fact, there was one or two that should have cashed that didn't, and I'm pretty pissed about. Well, actually, Cody, I'm sure you're pissed about the first one we're going to talk about.
Ty Gibbs, top 10, plus 120, comes out and qualifies on the front row, lining up to have a great day. He's running around the top all day long until Joey Logano inexplicably just dumped him. And I don't know. I have no idea why. I have not seen any footage on something Ty did to him before that. I don't know why he was upset. Or if he just was tired of racing him. I don't know. But yeah, it seemed to me to be inexplicable. And I don't know why Joey dumped him. Joey ends up finishing 5th. I think that Ty would have finished around that area, would have easily cashed this. So that was unfortunate. Also had Ryan Priest, top 10 at plus 160. He started good. Started up in 9th in the top 10, already cashing, but just really didn't have a car all day. I mean, he really wasn't much in the mix. He ends up in 20th at the end of the day, 8th after stage 1, and he was 7th in stage 2, so I guess he was kind of in there. But JDK says because Logano was pissed about Gibbs using him up the last few races. I don't know. I guess I'd have to go. I don't remember that specifically, but
the camera doesn't go that far back in the pack all the time.
the windshield's bigger than the rearview mirror. I don't know.
I love it. No, but for Priest, yeah, I mean that one was like, both of these were looking good for a very long time. I mean, they were inside the top 10 for a better part of the day until all of a sudden.
Yeah, Priest won the modified race on, was that Friday night, I think, before everything. So that was another, okay, he's got the laps, he's got the victory here. 1 o'clock already, but not to be.
No. And then mine too, same thing. Bubba, I had Bubba as a top 10 car at plus 160. He was around the top 10 for most of the day as well. Had a little issue that took him outside of the top 10, but he fought his way all the way back to an 11th place finish. Damn you, Todd Gilliland and Austin Cindric. Where the hell did your pit strategies bring you up into the top 10 for? You guys had no reason to be up there at all. So those two guys, not necessarily your front running guys. Bubba Wallace should have had a 10th place finish, in my opinion, in this race.
Yeah, and Bubba was so impressive. Again, Martinsville's not always been his best track, but he showed up and was having a great race, was up in the front there. I think he ended up getting spun out from like second place at one point too, didn't he?
That's the issue that took him out.
Yeah, one of those. So fought back for 11th, which, oh man, heartbreaking to not cash that, but so close. I had AJ Allmendinger top 10 plus 700. Was not aware he was not racing this weekend. Where did he finish? I mean, 28th. Like
28th, yeah.
He started 25th. He finished 28th. I would be surprised if he was ever not 25th or 28th in this race. So who knows? And let's see. JDK said that Denny talked to Joey, one of the two, after via text. Denny and Gibbs were talking Friday, and Gibbs was asking for advice on how to mend fences with Logano. Hopefully Logano feels like their fences are mended now, I suppose.
I would hope so.
I must not have got that far into actions detrimental yet. But, horrible day by Allmendinger. But Chase Briscoe pays off for us, Rod. Chase Briscoe, short, flat tracks. They go hand in hand. Top 10 plus 150. Top 5 plus 450. Chase Briscoe ends up in 4th place, takes it home. Starts 3rd place, a good solid start for him. 4th in stage 1, 3rd in stage 2. He was up front all day long. Ends up 4th as the final flag falls and cashes both of these bets. And again, Briscoe is a guy I love to hate on a lot of the times. When it comes to short, flat tracks, you've got to bet on him. I hope they sleep on him again this week, because if they give us a good top 10 number, I will be back on Chase Briscoe yet again, because he is very good at Phoenix. Won here last season. So hopefully they're not listening. Hopefully they're not paying attention, and we can make some more money on Chase Briscoe next week.
And what's crazy is that last pit strategy had the opportunity to kind of keep him outside of the top 5, but he still battled his way back in. So good on Briscoe to find his way back.
Man, the pit strategies were all over the place this weekend, and we kind of talked about how they would be. And then you had that new tire, and obviously laid down so much rubber that it tore up the pace car, which was not something I think I've ever seen before. That was an interesting thing. But again, this weekend had it all. The full moon was definitely in full effect.
Sure was. All right, I had Ryan Blaney as a top 5 car. I don't know why.
What a bad bet this was.
Seriously, I don't know why I didn't take him to ladder. Like, I ladder so many things, and I didn't ladder this one. This is the one I did not ladder. But yeah, Blaney safely inside the top 5 at plus 190. I mean, it was a plus. That's good, right?
Yeah, almost 2-1. He was the best car all day. There was no argument about that. So yeah, this was a great call by you. Should have had more on him. Unfortunately, we didn't. I did talk about him on the Underdog show. I think it was as well. And how good he'd been, how consistent he'd been in my picks over there. So that ended up paying off pretty good. Chevrolet's in the top 10, under 3.5, Rod. The numbers said to go with it. It was at plus 130. Paid off because there was only one Chevrolet in the top 10. That was Kyle Larson in 6th. We got to go all the way down to 13th and 14th for Byron and Chastain. But even to get to your 4th one, which would have had to have been in the top 10 to cash, was Chase Elliott all the way at 17th. So, again, Chevrolets on a week-to-week basis, they're going to have 4 guys in the top 10 for the most part. But when you come to these short tracks, Toyota's got an advantage. Ford's got an advantage. It's not that Chevys are bad there, but it's just that it levels them out. It brings them to the playing field as well. So that paid off.
Well, then that, again, we talked about if there's not going to be that many Chevys, there's got to be more of the other manufacturers. So I took Fords inside of the top 10, 3.5 over Fords. They doubled it. So there was 7 Fords inside the top 10. Of course, one of them ended up winning. And they actually, man, hats off to Eric Almirola for putting together a hell of a race there. I mean, obviously, he's in his swan song as well, riding off into the sunset. And he put together a second-place finish, but then it was Briscoe, Logano, and then Buescher, Cindric, and Todd Gilliland. I didn't need you, Todd Gilliland. I would have rather you switched to Bubba Wallace there at the end, but whatever. Still way more than 3.5 Fords in the top 10. What a dominant manufacturer performance for these guys.
Yeah, Ford was just, and again, short flat tracks, we talk about it every time we come to them. I mean, Stewart-Haas is good, Ford's good, the Stewart-Haas drivers are all good. Like, it all points to Ford on these. And again, we're just going to have to continue to hammer these when we get the opportunity because it worked out perfectly. Again, you find good angles on stuff, and these kind of worked hand in hand because if you're not getting 4 Chevrolets, there's only 6 Toyotas out there. There's a good chance you're going to get 4 Fords. So you play both of them, you hit both of them. Good weekend, you got the Chevy, won a plus money. Didn't have to pay much juice on the Ford one, which you don't pay the juice if you lose anyways. I had Ty Gibbs over Alex Bowman, minus 110. Alex Bowman with another horrible performance. I think somebody in the Discord had mentioned he was one of the most middling drivers they've ever seen. You can go back and forth on that because, like, again, before he got hurt this season, he was a points leader. He was having a solid start to the season. The back injury, all that. Rough day for Alex Bowman. Ends up 32nd place. Was still running at the end, but a rough day for him. Gibbs obviously had run way up front for most of the day. We talked about him getting spun out, but still finishes 18th. Good enough to beat Alex Bowman. So that I think that was our only head-to-head on the entire weekend, or on this race anyways, and we hit that one. So that's pretty nice.
Yeah, actually, it was the only head-to-head. We really stayed away from head-to-heads lately, haven't we?
Yes, we have.
All right, I took Hendrick with a team win, and for the love of God, at points, this actually looked like it could end up being something. I mean, Kyle Larson was never there, but obviously Chase Elliott was up there for 83 laps. I thought, hell yeah, here we go. Obviously, William Byron disappeared, but Chase Elliott had me believing that we would be able to take this into it. And then Eric Almirola caught him, and I was pissed off at that point. So disappeared into the sunset to Chase Elliott. Ended up finishing, where did he end?
17th. But 17th. That's just because he ran out of gas at the end, basically. But yeah, I mean, it was a great call by them to get up front. He held the track position. If the caution would have fallen, and that's the thing, like, this race would have been so different if we'd have had a late caution. I guarantee you none of this stuff would have been the same. It would have been just like the Xfinity race. Things would have gotten crazy. We just didn't get the chance to see it, which was, from an entertainment standpoint, a little disappointing because I was, and being that I'd been so hard on Denny Hamlin all season, I was kind of hoping he would get it. But another one that I was hoping I would get, and man, if these were not the bets to lay on the weekend, Rod, this lined up perfectly. I took Eric Almirola top Ford 9-1. I took Chase Briscoe top Ford 12-1. Rod, they finish in 2nd and 4th place. How much more can you ask out of these guys? But Ryan Blaney won the race in a Ford. Oh, it's just heartbreaking. Like, these were the right calls. They were good. They were both up there at the end. Almirola looked like maybe he was going to win this race. A little bit of strategy call. Like, imagine he's the one who walks it off, right? And Harvick doesn't get a win in his final season. It's Almirola instead. And just so freaking. I was kicking myself for not having Almirola outright, but I was like, all right, we got the top 4 to 9-1. We'll take that. Briscoe right there as well. Damn it, Ryan Blaney. You just had to do it. You had to beat him out. So that was unfortunate, but a good sweat on these and just so close to catching them. Again, these guys were the right call. Again, I am not going to back off of, well, unfortunately, Almirola is now retiring, which I don't think, I was trying to think back. I think that was announced after we had recorded Tuesday, because had we known he was announcing that, I would have for sure picked him to win, I think, because it would have been like a walk-off for the short flat track guy. But unfortunately, won't be able to bet on him next year, although we might be able to bet on him in some Gibbs Xfinity races next year, because that's the rumor I'm hearing. So we'll see if that actually pays off or not. But yeah, Chase Briscoe, again, short flat tracks, going to continue to hammer him. He's won us a lot of money this season. Did it on the top 5s earlier in this race. Just so close to hitting these top 4s. It was unfortunate, but again, the correct bets to make, I believe.
Yeah. And then I had some fun with the winning margin between 3 and 10 seconds. And here's what pisses me off. It actually did sort of reach out to about 3 seconds. And then Eric Almirola started cutting into it because of lap traffic for Ryan Blaney that he was hitting. Blaney was kind of slowing down a little bit, but
Blaney was getting it easy, which he should have done at that point. But
yeah,
for it not to have a late caution, I thought once we saw that Xfinity race, I'm like, oh, that bet's cooked. Like, there's no way this doesn't end up chaotic like that. But for it to end in a long green run, I mean, what did we finish? Like the last 130 laps on a green or something ridiculous. It was a long time.
333 to laps, 168 laps of green race.
100. Yeah, that's a lot of fun. And for it to still be that close, just insane. But yeah, it was unfortunate. Again, another fun prop bet. Please, please, please continue to give us these in Phoenix. Give us these next year as well. Winning bets had Kyle Larson 8-1. Again, I think anytime you get Larson on a non-super speedway at 8-1, you probably have to take him just because the value's there. We know how talented he is. One of the best guys in the field. Really just didn't have a chance this weekend. I don't know. I mean, he started up near the front and he finished okay, but I don't know. He just never was the Larson you kind of thought that he would be, which was unfortunate. So Christopher Bell, 25-1. Ends up with a decent finish, ends up 7th at the end. Did talk about how they weren't going to be trying some stuff and whatnot, so it was kind of just a gut play. Gibbs 28-1. I don't know if he would have won this, but starting second place, I feel like he got some good value there. And then Priest 45-1. Just picked the wrong Stewart-Haas car, I suppose. Probably should have went the Briscoe or Almirola route. And then I had tossed out Denny Hamlin to win the championship 11-1. I mean, he came with what, 2-3 points of getting to the Final Four. In that case, you would have, again, much like the Sammy Smith one, they were longer shots, but you're playing that little bit of a longer game, a week out, trying to get the better number, and came close on both of them. Unfortunately, did not hit either one, so won't have those tickets to carry with us this weekend.
Unfortunately, we won't. I spelled Blaney wrong in my box, so that's where I messed up. So I should have had Blaney in there instead. No, I had Byron at 8-1. Obviously did not hit that one. It was so frustrating though, because you just knew he was frustrated all day long on the radio. He was screaming at everybody that would listen. I'm pretty sure at that point, they were muting his mic because what can you do?
Yeah, and man, as flustered, and Denny Hamlin brought this up on his podcast as to why he doesn't love Byron this weekend. Like the fact that he got so frustrated and so flustered, and they showed so much weakness this week. I think that's going to be something to weigh in as we go into tomorrow and we make our picks for this weekend. Like that team fell apart completely. They came in there with a 30-point cushion. I don't think they scored any stage points, and they were this close to blowing it at the end of the race. He barely held on, and just now they held on. They made it, and again, now you go in a fresh week, and you just got to be the best car, and that's it. But a little concerning what we saw out of them for sure, because we didn't see much.
No, we didn't. And again, that's the thing. Like when you talk about Hendrick and how dominant of a stable they have and have been, there's starting to become cracks in that armor. And now we're starting to see this team kind of stumble a little bit. And it's a little bit unnerving if you're a Hendrick fan, if you're a fan of the 24, if you're a fan of the 48, I mean, if you're a fan of the 9, I mean, does that bounce back? Like, Larson's your only hope right now. If you're a Hendrick,
it's crazy. It's been a horrible Hendrick season, and they've got 2 of the 4 cars in the championship race.
I know, it's like, what do you
What
do?
a bad season it's been for them.
We talk about how horrible it is. You got a 50-50 shot.
Byron's got what, 6 wins on the season? I mean, he's leading all the drivers. So a bad week, but he'd built up that 30-point lead coming into this race because he had good solid weeks the weeks before, which looking back, it paid off for him because if Hamlin doesn't have, that power steering issue the week before, Hamlin easily is walking into the Final 4 here, which then it's a completely different story. Again, Denny Hamlin chokes away another chance at a championship once again. He did just about everything he could do. He scored stage points in both stages, was up near the front, just didn't have the car for Ryan Blaney. So unfortunate for him. He'll continue to be Mark Martin and go on another season without a championship. Maybe he'll get it next year. We'll see.
I love the bag of Doritos that we have in the Discord, was nacho year for Denny Hamlin.
Yes, that was pretty funny.
I love it. All right, well then, put a bow in Martinsville. And now, Cody, we are off to Phoenix for the final race of the NASCAR season. I cannot believe that since February we have been talking about NASCAR races. This week will be the last time we talk about it for the rest of the year.
It's sad that it's coming to an end, unfortunately. But we got 3 races to go bet on. Got 3 champions to crown. We got some money to make. And again, it's not just going to be all about the champions. There's going to be plenty of other bets to make. You're still going to bet Kevin Harvick to win this race. You're still going to find some top 10s. Maybe there'll be some head-to-heads in there. Maybe we'll get some fun prop bets. Going to be a blast. Going to be a lot of fun. I can't wait to go and start the championship research as soon as we end this. Because it's time to start digging into it, and I'm excited to see. I really don't know who I'm going to pick, so I'm excited to go into it without a lean and let the research point me in a direction.
I'm going to go ahead and just say Max Verstappen is going to win this race as well, so we'll clear up any.
There's a solid chance he's already won it.
I'm pretty sure he has. JDK asking real quick, who do we think for the Xfinity Championship?
Come on, it's John Hunter Nemechek.
Come on, it's just
it might not. And see, it's going to be very interesting to see what lines are. I think there's the potential that our bets and our picks don't necessarily line up, and we'll obviously cover that on the shows as we go in. But if I don't know, it's going to depend on how the numbers. Again, I don't know. Let me see. Let me check quickly to see. Oh, JDK
is asking Custer plus 425.
I wonder if he thinks Custer is going to be that price. I mean, here we go. All right. Cup Series odds are up on Superbook. Kyle Larson's plus 175. Ryan Blaney's plus 300. Byron plus 350. And Bell plus 500. Kevin Harvick 16-1. That's to win the race. And so that's, again, important distinction because, if you can get Kyle Larson plus 100 to win the championship, like that might be the better route than a plus 175. Like if that's the guy you're going to go with. Again, we'll break it all down tomorrow more. Kevin Harvick 16-1. I'm giving it out right now. Go bet it before that number comes down. He is the favorite outside of the championship 4. Like it's Larson, Blaney, Byron, Bell. Obviously, they're going to be the top 4. And then it's Harvick at 16-1. Hamlin is 25-1 after that. That's how much of a cliff it falls off. I mean, again, we'll have the numbers tomorrow, but the champion has always won this race, I believe, in the Cup Series since we've come into this format. So you've got all of the championship 4 guys matched up against each other in the head-to-heads. It's gonna be fun. We got it's gonna be a lot of fun. Definitely gonna want to join us for all these shows this week because it's gonna be a good time. But yeah, as far as like if I'm just picking who's going to win the championship in Xfinity, it's John Hunter Nemechek now. Whether that ends up being the bet. Of course, Rods, we're going to have to stick to our guys for the season. Hey, Justin Allgaier has been the king of Phoenix, so it's going to be hard to argue against him this week. We're in for a real fun week. It's going to be a lot of fun. I'm excited to break it down, and I'm even more excited to watch the races and watch these champions be crowned.
Indeed. All right. Well, then let's put a bow in this episode to get ready to fly out to Phoenix. Proverbially, I suppose we can't do it necessarily on real, but our minds will be out there in Phoenix with everybody else. So as we close the book on Martinsville, Cody, let's send everybody off onto Tuesday to do their own research while we help them get ready for it as well. Where can everybody find you on social media?
Yep. Follow me on X at @Husker_Zeeb. You can find all my work over there. Again, the YouTube. Make sure you get over there. Make sure you subscribe. Click the bell. We're live on this episode. You can interact like JDK's been doing, like these other commenters have been doing. And you get to see Rod's beautiful face. I try to bring props to spice my side of the show up a little bit here and there. But yeah, it's a good time. Never know when we'll go live. Might even hopefully make some of these pick shows live this week, depending on schedules and whatnot. But let's go crown some champions. Let's go make some more money. See you guys the rest of this week.
Indeed. I'm on X at RJ Villagomez. Link in the bio, everything I got going on. And of course, follow my picks page at Hot Rod on Sports. I should probably put that one in there too as well. That's where I'm posting all my picks. I don't know. I may keep doing it. I may not. We'll find out. It's a little depressing sometimes, but not when it's green. I don't know, whatever. Just follow me on X at RJ Villagomez. You'll find the link to the other one in there and the link in the bio, everything I got going on. Whether it's here, whether it's Sportsbook Review, whether it's in between media. It's like the first time I've ever hosted a show, so this will be fun. But yeah, find it all there as well. Shout out Ottawa Red Blacks, played their last game of the season. Unfortunately, it was a loss, but oh well. What can you do? It's a lot like me in that respect. They're the lovable losers of life. All right, we'll see you guys tomorrow. Until then, let's go racing and let it ride.